There you are. The Twitter files, do they matter? Is Elon Musk making Twitter better or worse? How about crypto? You heard about that guy getting arrested, right? What does this tell us about the future of cryptocurrency and all that now that they have a one-up on Madoff? Somebody who thinks about these things and has very intelligent takes is Kara Swisher, the host of On with Kara Swisher. Catchy. Good to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with me again.
No problem. Anytime, Chris.
So what is your major takeaway from the first 5 or 6 installments of the Twitter files?
From a news point of view, almost nothing. I think it was interesting. A lot of it had been reported, and a lot of reporters who have done some of the reporting have pointed that out. What I did think was interesting was that, see, I just don't know what was in there, right? We don't know what precisely was gotten out of them, what was cherry-picked by Elon Musk or anything else. So the circumstances were problematic from a reporting point of view. That said, it would have been really interesting if we could have looked at sort of this decision-making process in a much less partisan light, I guess. I felt it was too explosive and things like that, when in fact it was a very interesting look at how difficult content moderation is and how much these people try to do an impossible job, which I've been talking about for years, that this is just, it's impossible to do what they're doing, and it's not scalable. It's all based on people's opinions. It naturally gets people angry, and everybody has a different take. And so I found, a lot of the people there, it was interesting how much they disagreed and what they did to resolve it, and ultimately how futile it was to be able to do this.
I have some concern as a journalist about names I respect. Schellenberger, Bari Weiss, Matt Taibbi. They haven't come out and discussed why they did this and how it was given to them. Now, I get it on one level. They're saying, let the work speak for itself. But the work doesn't speak for itself, because I don't know what they were given. I don't know what they were told. I don't know why they did this the way they did it. Even the tweet threads thing, I don't understand why they did it that way, except to increase their own followings.
I think they had to, actually.
I don't like that deal.
Neither do I. It was a lot directed by Musk, and he pretended he didn't know anything about it, and then he kept flacking it. It's sort of like me writing a piece on Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg goes, "Go girl." You know what I mean? I just don't, I feel uncomfortable with that. I would love, for it to be completely released. Jack Dorsey, interestingly, put a post just like an hour ago, talking about just release all of it and let researchers look at it, let reporters look at it. The problem is you just don't know what isn't in there. They had a lot of right-wing people getting subject to rules, and they decided it was shadow banning. And it seemed to me it was filtering over issues. I don't know. And so that was, a lot of it was I don't know. And a lot of it that was sort of, there was one with me. It's like, Kara Swisher posted about January 6th and told him to take it down. I'm like, it was public. And it was in big letters and this and that. It was in plain sight. And I wrote a column 3 years before and several times about it. No context about that. That was just for my stuff was sort of it's not a big reveal or secret that this happened. And another one where there was one where it said secret meetings took place and it was the CEO, the chief counsel. There was no context. It's those are the people who decide those things. I just would like some more people who have much more experience in the area to look at it, because it was really interesting to watch the struggle. And I had interviewed Yoel Roth previously, and he talked about exactly this. But it wasn't can you believe it? We disagree.
Now, he was the former head of trust and safety, and that goes to the next concern about what's happening here.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe Dorsey was a lefty. Okay, that's okay.
No.
He's allowed to be a left. But I'm saying, even if he were, he's allowed to be. Musk is obviously running as fast as he can in the opposite direction, and I don't know that it has any principle other than to be provocative, to make Twitter relevant again. And he'll attack anybody for any reason. And your friend Yoel Roth, the former head of trust and safety.
Not my friend.
I'm saying that euphemistically. But
I never met him before that interview. But go ahead.
So you interviewed him, and what we do know. Friend, foe, whatever. He's literally had to take cover because of the threats that are coming his way. And what is that a window into in terms of what Musk is up to?
Chris, speaking of context, he's already been under siege for incorrect things. He was against the turning off the Hunter Biden stuff. He was against it, and he was overruled. Fine. That he was blamed for it nonetheless, even though these emails show him very clearly being this is a problem. Now, what happened was Elon Musk took his dissertation out of context, which was astonishing, and essentially called him a pedophile. That's what you know what I mean? Even though it's interesting what he's saying here. That's not what he was saying. And so,
hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.